Assalamu alaikum. I'm Malik Haj, an angel warrior of the Midwest and a messenger of the covenant, representing the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, the self-taught one, Master Suleiman, who's given us the Injil, the Gospel of Revelations, with the Injil key that gives us the understanding of the unsealed scriptures. This is Up Late with Malik Haj, nightly news report. This is where we take current events and give the understanding of them through the lens of the unsealed scriptures, or from the Injil perspective. Today, June the 24th, 2020, Sunday, June 24th, 2020. And let us get right into our topics for this evening. The first topic that we will get into is taken from the West Coast. Thousands of firefighters are battling a raging wildfire near Yosemite National Park. Just in the last 48 hours, the oak fire has expanded in size. The governor has declared it a state of emergency. More than 6,000 residents have been forced from their homes. The region's extreme drought is fueling the flames. The firefighters are working around the clock trying to get the upper hand. To get containment is still at zero. So they're at 0% containment. 2,000 homes and businesses are in danger. And for many of them, it's too late. The fast-moving fire has already consumed many structures, and thousands are without power. PSNG, the power provider, is not giving any indication about when it's going to be restored. There's been over 14,000 acres burnt. So, in the last few days, this topic keeps finding itself back in the headlines. Now it's a state of emergency. The fire is continuing to grow, and it's still 0% contained. So it's burning out of control. They have no They have no containment over the fire. They're trying different things to cut paths and things in the lanes of the fire, and they're fighting it from ground and air. However, they have not been able to get this fire under contain, and in a lot of areas over a lot of areas have been evacuated. Mandatory, and it's a mandatory evacuation. They've been moved out. The fire, the smoke is bellowing over from the fire, causing there's so much smoke, it's causing very poor viewing. Very poor sight, so you can't see that far because of the smoke that is coming from the fire. So it's still burning. The West Coast, this fire is still just raging out of control. However, many people are just been forced out of their homes. Many thousands have lost their home, businesses. These are the things that the angels share will be what will be taking place in this time, and we're still America is still experiencing, not only in the West Coast but throughout many parts of America, throughout the South and the upper northeast corner is up under a major heat wave, and New York has opened extended its pool hours for the residents. They've opened up cooling centers, and they're doing a lot of things to maintain to assist people to stay in or stay safe. And they said that a lot of people are listening in that area. They said they have only encountered they haven't encountered one death, or they encountered only one death from the heat. So still record-setting temperatures taking place. So let's move on. We're gonna come back and we'll give our analysis of how and what this topic fares from the angel point or angel's perspective. So we're gonna move on to our next topic. In Ukraine, in the city of Odessa, following a Russian missile strike a day after signing an agreement to allow to allow grain ships to begin leaving, Russia is receiving worldwide condemnation because of the airstrike that they the missile strike, because of the missile strike that hit the port and ships that was due to leave. And the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Bridget Brink, calling the attack outrageous in a tweet. Russia saying Russia continues to weaponize food and Russia must be held accountable. So this missile strike, we find this in the headlines again as well. These are the top headlines around the world, and they're saying that Russia is being condemned around the world for striking, sending a missile to strike the port or boats, ships that were to start allowing the ships out to with the grains to for countries and people in need of the grain. So they was going to stop the blockade. However, the thing that remains that they'll speak on what Russia did, but they also said that they didn't think that in the initial report they said that Russia had, like, it was going to be a 2-week type of condition drawn out to see if Russia would comply. However, in the report, in the same report as speaking about the agreement being signed, they also shared that the White House and have stated that the Pentagon did a preliminary hearing on sending Ukraine fighter jets to assist them in the war against Russia. So you have these individuals in the UN, Russia and Turkey and the United Nations, engaged with the conversations, being the middleman in the conversation. However, the need for the grains are for countries, and somewhat of the countries that are the UN countries that are assisting in the war against Russia. So, on one hand, you want grain released, And then they get mad because they're saying Russia is weaponizing it. But if it was on the other shoe, if the shoe was on the other foot, and what Russia didn't have grains, then they will be trying to keep the grains, or not allowing Russia to receive what it needs. Because you looking at what they're doing to Russia. They're trying to shut Russia's economy down. They've hit it with all kind of sanctions. They've been hit with all kind of sanctions. So it's one thing when the shoe's on the other foot, then it's a problem. It's weaponized. But you want grain, but then you, in the same sentence, you're saying that you're going to send an Air Force, or you're going to supply Air Force fighter planes. You don't know what's on them, what they're shooting, what type of missiles bomb that are coming with them, but you're going to mention and speak on this in the same sentence as, or the same report as Russia allowing these shipments of grain to be received or moved from the blockade out from the Black Sea out to the countries that need them. And a lot of them are the ones that are pushing or picking this fight or fueling this war against Ukraine. So even the it's like 1 and 1 really is 2. Even the in looking at the report, the farmers didn't think that they were going with the way that the report was given, that they didn't think that Russia would hold up to the agreement either. And it's practically due to, as you've seen, that Russia just bombed, like shelled another city that had where United States and UN countries had sent weapons, and they had weapons being stocked in this city, and Russia really put a severe shelling on that city. So they're speaking as if they're not at war, and they want favors to assist practically the people that will be coming or sending or assisting war on Russia. So they're acting like it doesn't make sense, or it's really like it shouldn't be expected that will happen. I mean, you want your cake and eat it too. However, you want us to allow grains and things that you need to survive, but you want to send weaponry and war materials to a country to use them against us. So, considering all things, when the shoe's on the other foot, They always act like it's this it's insane. This should not be happening. This is really bad. But if the shoe was on the other foot, and it has been, they try to crumble their system. They try to eliminate their economy. They're hitting with all kind of sanctions. So they're talking about weaponizing. You weaponizing what you're doing. So it's a return in that. But however, these things we're seeing more and more influx of the effect that this war with Russia and Ukraine is having on the rest of the world, and especially the European nations. So there were also two U.S. Americans soldiers that volunteered to fight with Ukraine. They were killed in eastern Ukraine. What was the name? One was Luke and the other one was Brian Young. And they were fighting in the Ukraine unit. They were, there's two that were killed fighting for Ukraine. So, and the Kremlin ordered the Kremlin that's what it is. The Kremlin ordered the Jewish agency to be closed on its seemingly going rift between Moscow and Jerusalem. So the Kremlin has closed the Jewish agency in the Kremlin, and false Israel is saying that this could be a sign to how that they have to pay attention to, because of they really don't understand, and they making that they're taking out they're making calling in for renegotiating, or they're um, um, letting know their concerns, and they want to the Kremlin to think on what they're doing on this matter. And it means so much because they don't know, it's something, it has to do with the Jewish state, or in the Jewish people in Crimea, in Ukraine, and the availability of motion, of moving back and forth, or what is it? The availability to migrate, the migration of the Jews. So they're also saying that they don't really. It's a concern because they don't know where, how to think on or understand where the mind of the Russian president is on their position on assisting the Ukrainians. So they don't actually know, what they said, that they didn't send, that false Israel hasn't sent any weaponry that can do destruction. They only sent things that can protect and assist the Ukrainians, like vests, headgear, medical gear, things in that nature. So they really don't know where Russia stands for real because of their assistance in Ukraine. Then, as we move on to other things that are taking place in false Israel, they're having clashes with Palestinians. They had 4 Palestinians were killed and 9 more were injured in a clash between the IDF troops in the West Bank city of Intervals and Jenin. And they were these clashes with the IDF troops was with some Palestine soldiers, or IDF troops were doing what they do, doing their searches and hitting homes and looking for terrorists, and they had a clash in with these terrorists. They had a shootout, and they stated that none of the IDF troops died or was injured, but they took down these terrorists or Palestinians soldiers, and they confiscated a lot of weapons. So it's a lot been going on in the area. I didn't get anything from or hear anything on Biden's condition today. Been looking out for that. Didn't receive any type of information on it. Had an ear out for it. Didn't get a hit of update or anything on it. So that's being kept quiet. However, the clashes, as you see there, these clashes are still taking place inside of Palestine with the IDF. A lot of times when you see the clashes, I mean, it can be 4 to 6, 10 IDF soldiers, and some of these people can have a rock, a knife, and when they speak about, they always say they neutralize the target. So and this is not really in looking at the situation. They justify the IDF troops really to just gun down and take. No, I mean, it don't make a difference. They say if a rock hits the IDF troops, they can gun them down. They that's just the way that false Israel rolls over there. However, with all the things today, we're going to do our overall report on it. And let's start back where we begin with the fires. As these wildfires roll through the West Coast, and that part of the country is up under severe drought. The fires, the terrain, the weather has brought a real concern to the area because of the high winds and the dry terrain, because it's causing fires and to ignite rapidly in different areas, and they're just expanding and burning, and they have to try to keep containing them. And they've lost in the country this year being so dry. In the country they've lost over 5.5 million acres to fires. So these things is taking homes, businesses, power. They're consuming it to the point it's a state of emergency, because they're saying that the fires are moving so far or so fast, they don't know how to contain. They can't even catch up with them or remotely contain them. They had 0% containing because they moving so fast, and they're consuming. They showed the pictures of how many acres are literally consumed in a 24-hour period. Like everything in its path is destroyed, gone, incinerated. So, from the perspective of the unsealed scriptures, we're knowing that we're living in unprecedented times. And this heat is unprecedented. So the fires are also unprecedented amount of fire. So this is one of the ways that, in bringing in this Abrahamic vision, these things will be taking place at this time. And due to the weather, due to the breaking of the seven seals, due to the resonance in the teachings, and speaking of the teaching of the angel, and the teaching and of the angel, and keeping this resonance going, is causing these reactions, these things to take place. Master Suman, the breaking of the seals is causing these events to happen. So when you're looking at wildfires, unprecedented wildfires, taking out homes, taking and threatening life, and really is putting a serious, causing serious and deadly conditions in the West. And the West is already dealing with mass drought, which is causing a problem on the agriculture. Like we said, not only are they dealing with the agriculture in the West, the fires, but they're dealing with protests of truckers. So they have to deal with the chain the system of moving goods around from California throughout the rest of the country, and a lot of the goods are fresh goods, so they're dealing with a whole lot of, countless problems or interactions that is stressing the system, and just seeing overall as a a situation that you can't, you couldn't even, they wouldn't be able to even think on it or film it or make to even prepare for. They can't even prepare for the things that they're seeing because it's happening from the essence. It's happening. It's being caused in a way that the conditions in the whole conditions are set from not being allowed to have or being in this intense drought, which is cause and effect, and these things are being called by the vision of the Abrahamic covenant, and this is what the scripture said that what will happen: famine, drought. These are some of the things that is shared that's going to take place, and we seeing it. And that famine and drought is causing major conditions. It's sparking fires, and the fires are moving so fast they are sharing it. They can't even it's surprisingly how fast the fires are moving. So before they even expect it or can gauge what's taking place, the fires have moved so swiftly that they have destroyed and grew to the point that they can't do anything about it. So they're at the mercy of the fire, the wind. They're at the mercy of they're basically at the mercy of the engine. So then it's the war in Ukraine. That it's this war. You can see how it's each it just keeps showing you how each part that is sharing that is going to take place here in sometime this year after the abomination of desolation, when the war of Armageddon begins. You can see how these things are, what's happening now is going to be the backlash or from what's taking place today, and you're going to see that in the near future of gas shortages, natural gas shortages, food shortages, people suffering through cold weather. Just you can see what's going to happen in the next few months. So then it's always, like I shared earlier, when the shoe's on the other foot, it's always something to be said in contrary when these countries are at war, and this country is at war with many countries, and is several countries coming in unison to assist this country, assist Ukraine against Russia. So the fight, Russia sees the fight and sees how and whose pushing and orchestrating the resistance. America is fueling the resistance, so Russia sees what's taking place and knows this is it. They act like this is not an art of war. This is an art of war. And things that you utilize for war is strategic things that's needed. And if the U.S. can try to shut down Russia's economy, stop them from sending oil here, stop them from doing this, stop them from doing that, and then sanction them, then if Russia starts to do certain things, and that's a way of them producing their sanctions. We're going to sanction too. We're going to keep you from getting this, or keep you from allowing you to do this. So it's always a problem when they don't get what they want. They want their cake and eat it too. They want what they need, and they want to assisting in the destruction or trying to destroy Russia. So it just, shows that everything's lining up. When we get into these later months, you're going to be able to see why it's sure that everything is going to backfire against America in what they're doing. They're causing chaos. This is a plot of America, and Russia sees it. And however, the NGO shares that this is just being set up exactly as the NGO has shared it will be taking place. It's being set up where you can see each piece finding its way in the puzzle of sitting in right in exact to how it's going to play out, which is going to cause this backfiring to happen with America. And there's one other thing. Let me see about our time. We have enough time. I did miss a topic that I wanted in Russia as well. This happened in Russia. A robot broke kid's finger at a chess tournament in Moscow. It says, let me get this. Sergei Smagin, vice president of Russia Chess Foundation, told Baza the robot appeared to pounce after it took one of the boy's pieces. Rather than waiting for the machine to complete its move, the boy opted for a quick repost. He said, "There are certain safety rules, and the child apparently violated them when he made his move. He did not realize he firsthand to wait. Straight said, "This is an extremely rare case. The first I can recall," he added. Lazarus had a different account, saying the child had made a move, and after that we need to give time for the robot to answer. But the boy hurried and the robot grabbed him. Either way, he said, the robot suppliers were going to have to think again. Now, the reason I went back into that is just the seriousness of that a robot is playing. Now, we talk about this cyborg vision that they have versus our natural nature or our natural vision. They have this cyborg vision. And this cyborg or robot is playing a game with a 7-year-old child. And they're trying to make sense of what took place. But saying this child made a move too fast. He made his move, but he was thinking as a child, so he was thinking too fast. So once the robot made his move, the child already was moving 2 or 3 steps ahead, evidently, in chess. They're playing chess. So the robot made his move, and this child made his move, and he must have made it too quick, and the robot grabbed his finger and broke it. And it said it was the first time that ever happened. They was threw off. Basically, they told the suppliers of the robot that they're gonna have to, do something about this. But when you see and understand, really take in what really happened there. You have a robot and it like catches or gets upset and grabs you. Grabs, not, say up, like something, you do something and the machine either replaces it and say, cheating, or gives you some direction or talks to you, resets and lets you do what you're going to do. But this robot responded from a thought to grab the boy. Now, I know that don't mean a lot to a lot of people, but for a robot to think or have an impulse to grab someone as they making a move in a game, on a board game, like it's you moving too fast, or that means that's saying a lot in how they're programming these robots so the things that a robot is able to do, to the point there, I'll grab you and break your finger. That's you know, they're working on cyborgs and robots because they have to find some kind of way that they can put their mind in, because your mind can operate on, it don't operate from, the brain doesn't need necessary, it can live outside of the body, the natural body. So they are trying to find a body that they can build, that they can put their brain into, and they won't have to worry about nature. That body won't have to worry about responding to to nature. So as you see, they're speaking on climate control and climate and on how the earth is on the effects of the planet through all these corporations and fossil fuels and all these things that is killing the planet. So they've been knowing these things for and this is something also from the NGL, that they've been knowing the conditions and what they've been doing. They've been talking about this, showing you things since over 50 years ago, since the 50s. They've been knowing this for over 100 years of what is taking place with the conditions of the planet, from what they are doing. However, they haven't slowed down or tried to implement anything to conserve the planet. So that's another thing that the angels shared, that the planet itself, they have to be removed from the planet because they're against the planet, the law, nature itself. They're totally against. They're against nature. Period. They're against their whole, everything about them is negative. It's they're wicked, and as you see, everywhere they go, they have destroyed. They have destroyed everywhere they have touched has been corrupted, destroyed. The planet is being they're sucking all the gas, and they're fracking, and the animals are coming extinct and being killed off. Everything natural, the water is being polluted. Just everything is nothing that they're trying to keep up and make changes to better the situation or the conditions. None of that. They just keep on going and pushing and want more and more, and they're doing it all for riches, wealth, and they don't care about how it affects the climate or how it affects the world at all. So they have to be removed. That's in itself reason and another viewpoint that the angel shares, that it's another reason for behind why we have to remove them from the planet. So that was just something that really caught my attention, for a robot to break a young 7-year-old's finger. He must have been an upset robot, and that's our topics for this evening. We're for every day getting closer into the abomination of desolation, which is the war between Michael and his angels, which is Master Farah Muhammad, Iran, and Syria. And the war that they will go into is with the dragon and his angels. The dragon is the house of Sod. His angels is Britain and America, false Israel, and they will be going to war with 6 other Sunni nations that have made a alliance with Satan, with up under this so-called Abraham Accord. So just letting you know that the war and their grievance is really they're in alliance to keep the true seed of Abraham at bay, because they all have an entrance that that affects all of those countries. Their interest on keeping the true seed of Abraham away from the returning to their land or returning home. So they're making an alliance against the true seed of Abraham, and sharing that they are going to go to war to protect their interests. So that's what we're seeing. However, everything that is taking place is right in step with the Injil. The harsh weather, the fires. America is going to be consumed. Is going to have so much pressure, so many things taking place at once. That's why it's called a time of unprecedented trouble. All types of calamities and hardships, wars, and is going to hit America in this 1 year period. And this starts off with this time that we in, that was going to be the spark, which is this war in the Middle East. And it's been shared that last week the urgency of that they had to go into to stop, since they wanted to thwart Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. They was saying that they wanted to speak again with Iran. However, the president, America's president, looking on, they can't even get a conversation going. No one can really rely on Joe Biden. The state of America, the country, the state of Israel is false. Israel is, they're relying on America to assist them, but they can't rely on the weakness that they see in Joe Biden. The weakness of America. Look at the leader. The leader, the chief, is sick. Old, decrepit, suffering from the like a Alzheimer. He's can't control his bowels. He's peeing and boo-booing on himself. He's can't remember he's not cognate. He's losing all his cognicy. I mean, look at him. And this is the leader in chief up. This is the president, and all these nations that are looking on, and they can't even. I mean, how can you make moves when to even get ready or to prepare or to go into any of the ideas that were shared? Now a whole nother week has passed. So you got to be thinking. It's not a lot of things being shared. So just know that nothing has stopped. Everything is still going. So this condition, they don't know. The plague is still surging. I didn't speak on that today. However, that's still surging. Biden is suffering from the BA.5, and they don't know. I mean, they don't know how bad it's going to be, but they're not sharing on a consistently or every day about his condition. But they shared that yesterday that he had more symptoms, and that he had to have an inhaler to breathe, and he was experiencing a lot of body pain. So everyone knows what that means. It just shows weakness. That's just period, point blank. And this is what's going to cause all these. I mean, this weakness, it's terrible. It's putting pressure on all these countries that are relying on America. And with that, I'm gonna bring this segment to a close. Know that everything is right on schedule. Any day now, as you can see, any day now, this war in the Middle East will be taking place. False Israel is constantly sharing that they have to make a military strike against Iran, especially if they want to thwart their nuclear program, because Iran has shared they have the capabilities, the technology, they have already enriched uranium to 60%, and in days they can enrich it into 90%, and they have the technology and the wherewithal to build the bomb. So we'll see. Keep your eye on it and know that that is the abomination of desolation that you will be seeing at any time, and you will be seeing soon. We won't get out of this year without seeing this abomination of desolation. Pretty much won't be getting out of maybe June, July, for sure August, that we won't be making it out of that without seeing what is going to occur. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll be back. We'll be right back here at 11 o'clock tomorrow at our same time with Nightly News Up Late with Malik Hodge, where we give the understanding from current events from an angel perspective. And I greet you as I came with in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum.